Hey guys, it's me, Kevin Murcko, CEO of CoinMetro, live like usual. Well, like sometimes, I guess it hasn't really been that usual in the past few weeks, but live for this Ask Me Anything. We changed the format a bit this week. Like usual, I'm going to ask for a mic check. So I'm going to wait for a few people to jump in the room since we kind of just threw this thing live with no schedule. So as soon as we get some people in here, please post up, let me know that you can hear me. Or if you just see me talking to a screen with no audio, and we'll start moving on. By the way, sitting in Puerto Rico, so not our talent office this week. This is the corner of a hotel room, so that's where I'm sitting right now. But it's nice here, 27 degrees, not bad. A little bit of a street festival going on. I had a meeting here yesterday, may have another one today. Outside of that, business as usual. I see we have a few people floating in. Guys, please audio check. Send me a message. Just let me know you can hear me before I move on. I don't want to be talking to myself for an hour. I can do that on my own time, right? So just so everybody knows, the format has changed a bit. The agenda kind of works like this now. So I'm going to do some market news like we used to do, market news that was curated on Reddit and Telegram over the past week. There's 10 segments, 10 little pieces of news that I'll make some comments on. Then there's this Kevin Explains Crypto piece where we have a term each week. So we'll get to the term. I'll explain what the term means. If anybody has any questions, we'll deal with them then. Then we do a live Q&A. So just like we used to do, just a regular AMA session here on YouTube. And then if there's time, I'll jump into what is our Reddit questions. Or if we don't have a lot of questions coming in live, then I'll jump through some Reddit questions that were posted last week as well. Okay, all good. Thanks, Harold. Thanks, Peter. Okay, good. So I'm going to jump right into the news then. Let's see what we got. So we got 10, like I said, 10 pieces of news here. First one out of 10, crypto exchange takes on behemoths with physical Bitcoin futures. So I guess behemoths, they're talking about BitMEX for sure here. I'm just going to about 2 different exchanges that plan to offer futures. So CoinFlex. Okay, so we have CoinFlex to offer contracts to Asian investors next month. Venture backed by Roger Ver Trading Technologies. Okay. So yeah, Bitcoin futures. Look, it wasn't, I think we've talked about this a lot, or I've talked about this a lot in the past. There are so many different types of tradable assets in the world, right? Crypto doesn't really add in anything new into the flavor other than just different ways of negotiability, transferability, and adding liquidity on secondary markets. But all these, there's lots of different trade. There are futures, there are derivatives, there are convertible notes, there are all kinds of ways that assets are already traded in the world. It only makes sense that to bring liquidity into a market, that at some point you bring in additional asset types. So we know that BitMEX was, I guess, the first. I don't think initially they were actually physically deliverable. I think they do offer some physically deliverable options now. But I guess it sounds unique, right? But they're all futures. And they're all futures because basically what a future is that you are buying something and you're basically speculating on a future price. And it's offered up basically on an electronic platform. So even FX in many markets, including the United States of America, is considered a future. So when you buy a euro-dollar pairing in the US and you're buying it speculating on a future price, that is a future contract. So I would say that, to be honest, on most platforms that deliver electronic pricing, it's already a future. Obviously, you can structure it a bit different. You can give maturity dates, and then it looks more like a traditional future. So let's say you buy, I don't know, Bitcoin USD with a maturity date of, I don't know, February 15th. And then it's kind of a little more like a future. Now, if you add in, let's say you add in a specific price point on where that you expect that to be, now that's an option. What I'm saying is that this isn't really big news because most platforms already offer deliverable futures. Just depends on how you classify the underlying asset. But BitMEX has been having some issues. They had to give up finally. I think I talked about this as well. At some point, they will come under regulator pressure and lots of pressure. And I guess they have, because they've stopped accepting and I think are getting rid of all their US clients. And so we had a discussion on the AMA a few weeks ago, actually, maybe about a month ago at this point. And I was going back and forth with one of our people that was asking questions about BitMEX and saying that they didn't think that BitMEX was, going to heed because they're a Hong Kong company and blah, 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 blah. Well, there you go. They heeded. Everybody heeds. That's you have to heed. They had their fun, and now they have to tighten up the ship, so to speak. So, which is good for the market. I mean, it's not so great for them, maybe for their bottom line, at least right away, like immediate bottom line. But at the end of the day, it'll be good for the bottom line for sure. Number 2 out of 10, only a third of cryptocurrency exchanges inspected got a full pass in recent government security audit. Yeah, well, 33%, to be honest, sounds like kind of a high number. This is in Korea, so we're not talking about globally. If we went globally, it'd be less than 30%, I can guarantee you. They're 33%. Oh, 2/3 actually. Oh, 2/3 fail. Okay, yeah. So 33% pass. That seems pretty high to me. I mean, I don't know how many, let's see, total of 21 crypto exchanges. So 7 of them passed. That may seem low, but that's quite high. That's high. I mean, I would say globally speaking, probably only, I don't know, 10% of exchanges that are actually operating are probably compliant or close to compliant with local regulations where they exist. So that to me seems, that to me seems like it's acceptable, to be quite not acceptable, but it seems almost that it's kind of within the realm of almost surprising. It's almost surprising, I think, that 33% were able to pass, to be quite honest. I don't know what type of audit they did, whether it was a KYC audit, whether it was a compliance audit, whether it was an operational audit, whether it was all of the above. I think it was probably focused mostly on one single aspect, and that's why 7 of them actually passed. Because if it was probably all encompassing, we probably would have had a lower number. Okay, number 3 on a list of 10, European financial regulators call for block-wide crypto rules. Yeah, ESMA. I believe this is talking about ESMA. Let's see. Check this. Again, I normally don't check these at all. I only really check them when I want some clarification or I want to make sure that I'm talking about exactly what they're talking about. Okay, so it's actually the EBA, European Banking Authority. I know ESMA came out, was asked well, but this seems to be talking about the EBA. Yeah, and ESMA, second regulatory agency in the economic bloc, European Securities and Market Authority. ESMA also published a report. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, obviously, I mean, these assets are starting to be traded more and more. They need regulation. They now know they need regulation. They realize that regulation is needed. So regulation is going to happen. I've said a million times, 2019 will be hashtag year of regulation for crypto. And that's what's going to happen. And it's starting to happen already. And I think we're going to start to see, pun intended, the train moving a bit faster over the next few months as regulators really start to hone in, fine tune, and figure out exactly how they want to regulate these markets. Number 5 on a list of 10, number 4, sorry, almost 5 new cryptocurrency ATMs installed worldwide each day, data shows. Yeah, I mean, 5 worldwide. I mean, there's probably more than 5 McDonald's opening on a daily basis in the world. So that's a really low number. But it shows that there is interest and that there are new ATMs coming every day, which I guess is probably the focal point of that story. What it shows is that ATMs actually provide a great service. They provide liquidity, so they provide immediate liquidity to people on the street, which is quite important. I mean, in any economy, when you break any economy down, whether it be let's say a fiat economy, fiat currency, can you imagine if there were no ATMs? I mean, what would you do? Especially when you're in a place that doesn't accept your debit or credit card. What do? You don't do anything. Basically, you're screwed. And the acceptance of credit cards and debit cards and payment cards around the world has increased substantially over the last 15, 20, 25 years. However, I've been to many places in the world that they're not accepted, and forget widely, they're not accepted almost anywhere. So yeah, the fact that ATMs are coming out is a good thing. But 5 new a day is not really something that should make headlines. I probably wouldn't have included a number in that one. But yeah, the fact that there's new ATMs every day is a good thing for sure. Number 5 on a list of 10, EU's ESMA may be ready to classify crypto as a financial instrument. Yeah, so this is an important one, guys, because right now under MiFID II, the main crypto assets, so your Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, blah, 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 are not considered to be financial instruments, which means that you can operate platforms that use these assets or provide access to these assets without needing to be regulated in almost every part of the EU. Now, that's certain types of platforms, right? So exchanges are regulated in certain countries. Investment platforms will be regulated in certain countries. Germany, for example, requires an MTF license basically to do anything around crypto. But over the 28 member states we're talking about, for the most part, you don't really need to be regulated for certain services. So if and I would say when, not if, but when ESMA decides under MiFID 3 or whatever to classify crypto as a financial instrument, it changes a lot according to regulation. That means that every single product that's offered for tradability or to move funds around, like, you know, sending Bitcoin to another person, like a wallet, for example, will now probably require some type of e-money licensing, because that they will classify them as financial instruments. So it means a very, very big, very wide sweeping change, and it will affect pretty much every company that has anything to do on the financial side with crypto. So number 6, Governor of Bank of Estonia, cryptocurrency is a complete load of nonsense. Yeah, obviously we saw this one locally. You know, while Estonia is quite progressive, and there are lots of people that I've talked to, including people from the finance minister's office, including people from the FSA, that understand that where the crypto market is currently is not necessarily the end game, and that crypto in and of itself, or the cryptology in and of itself, used in the financial markets to tokenize things, to bring usability, negotiability, transferability, etc., and liquidity into certain markets that need it, is huge, and that it will be a game changer. I think you know, the cryptocurrency being a load of nonsense, I think that might be pushing a bit, but to be honest, I'm not too far off of that opinion, mainly because I don't believe we have anything that's considered that's actually a currency yet. So there are always going to be people that don't understand or don't. So if you look at the crypto market just as cryptocurrency, so you just that's the one thing that you're kind of paying attention to, is just the fact that they supposedly are currencies, then yeah, I would agree 100%, because they're not currencies. And you know, if you're looking at just that scope, you're seeing the fraud, you're seeing, you know, the ICO market, you're seeing these different things that have happened that are all revolved around quote unquote cryptocurrencies. And yeah, I'm kind of under this. I'm in the same kind of ballpark, to be honest. So, but you know, and I think that's it. I think he has a too narrow view of what's going on. And if he'd like to talk to me about it, you know, I will come to his office and talk to him about it. So there's a free open invitation to the governor of Bank of Estonia, Ardo Hansson. You know, send me an email, bro, and you know, we'll chat about this, and then maybe your opinion might change. Number 7 on a list of 10, breaking: Ethereum developers postpone Constantinople hard fork price plunges. Yeah, I guess they found some vulnerabilities right at the you know, last minute. Look, from what we've gone through on CoinMetro side for development, I'm not going to come out and say anything like, hey, you know, you fucking developers, you didn't find this shit and you found some more vulnerabilities happen, and a lot of times they're found right at the last minute. It's unfortunate that they made such a big kind of promotion about this Constantinople hard fork, and at the end of the day, they didn't do it. But that's what happens. This is how the world functions, unfortunately. The fact that the price plunge is a bit ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why people are pinning their hopes and dreams as far as prices go on a software upgrade that really doesn't completely change the landscape at all. But hey, crypto is what crypto is. It's volatile, and well, shit happens. Number 8 on a list of 10, new Binance exchange in Jersey lets you trade BTC and Ether with Euro and Pound, and supports 58 jurisdictions. Yeah, I actually knew about this one coming months back from, let's say, a little bit of insider information. But yeah, look, Binance has a plan, and Binance's plan is that I think they understand, or somebody in the organization finally understands, that the Binance kind of corporate or main vehicle is at risk. And it's at risk because, well, they haven't been following KYC. They've done a lot of things that they probably shouldn't have, and they understand that at some point that wall, that big tower, could possibly fall. So they're running around the world and opening up small regulated, let's say, pieces of their overall company or their group of companies, and it makes a lot of sense. It's one thing that they've done that I would say that I agree with. So the one in Jersey, yep. I don't know if they've actually acquired licensing yet. I don't think there actually is any licensing in Jersey. I think they're within a few loopholes there. I could be mistaken, but yeah, euro and pound, great for Binance. Look, I know people probably curated this news because again, it's like oh, that's a competitor and Binance. You can look at any market, whether you want markets, whether you want to look at. There is never only one player in town, especially when you talk about retail. So on the retail side, you can't have one player. There's monopoly rules all over the world. It just can't happen. There has to be multiple players in a retail market to make it function, and there has to be multiple players that basically provide different services so that people can do what they want and put their money where they want. So the fact that Binance is doing this is good for the market as a whole, because it's showing that they're starting to understand as well that, well, 2019 is going to be the year of regulation, and they kind of need to get on board with that. And they also understand, I think, that Binance itself, the main Binance company, is difficult to actually get regulated because it has a history. And I think they're doing the right thing. So for the market, it's good. Even for us as just as being in the same industry. I mean, as far as, yeah, we might be competitors, but at the end of the day, it's still good. Because it means that they're expanding. That means that they're dealing with probably some of the same banks we are. It means that these banks are starting to see that risk can actually be mitigated from the corporate side. At the end of the day, I think it's all good, to be quite honest. And thumbs up to Binance for having a plan for 2019 being the year of regulation. Number 9 on a list of 10, BitMEX to ban accounts in the U.S., Quebec to avoid legal penalties. Yep, there we go. Talking about this earlier in the show. Yeah. I mean, these guys are dealing in a futures market without a futures license and selling to U.S. residents. Yeah, I don't think this takes them out of the regulatory issues. They've been doing it already. By them now announcing a ban, they were saying that the fact that they were doing this before, they were allowing this before. So now for Canada, well, Quebec, there's actually one other, Quebec being in Montreal, there's also one other province in Canada where they probably shouldn't be doing business. I'm not going to give that one away. They can pay their lawyers a couple $100K to tell them what that should be. But there are actually 2 provinces in Canada, BitMEX, where you probably shouldn't be soliciting clients. Montreal is only one of them. You better find the other one because you'll be, actually there could be 3, but there's definitely 2. So from the BitMEX side, what I would say is that they've taken the right steps, but it doesn't take them out of legal hot water. They're probably still going to get some legal hot water in the U.S. for sure. Number 10 on a list of 10, Cryptopia hacker moves stolen crypto to Binance. Community alert, CZ, and funds are frozen. Look, this is how the market should work, right? This is a nice story. It's one of those like feel good stories. It's like when you see a story about, I don't know, somebody helping an old woman across the street, and you're like, oh, that's a nice guy, an old woman. Yeah, great. So it's a feel-good story. It's great, but this is exactly how the market should be functioning. I mean, it's a transparent market where you can see every transaction on the blockchain that happens. Why wouldn't this be how it should function? This shouldn't be a news story. This should just be, oh yeah, my funds got taken and I alerted an exchange where the funds went and they stopped the fucking transaction. That's what should happen every time. I mean, why shouldn't it happen? Again, this you can see where every transaction goes. Everybody can. All the public can see where all this money is flowing. So obviously we have public exchange wallets. When it goes to a public exchange wallet, and the exchange itself should be doing know your transaction, so they should know that this money probably or possibly came from a hack, and they shouldn't process it. It's come on. So we're still in infancy of these things, being, again, compliance, regular. This is all about regulation. Now, the only reason that Binance is doing this, aside from the PR, right, is basically because it's showing the regulator that crypto isn't the anonymous, I don't know, a criminal element that they propose that it is, or at least some propose that it is. But it's something that everybody should be doing. Every exchange should do this, and there's no reason why they shouldn't. If every exchange was doing this, we'd be able to open bank accounts at Bank of America, HSBC, UBS. They'd all be like, "Oh, crypto, come on in. We love you guys." The problem is that nobody's doing this because there's a lot of people that think that, I don't know, they have privacy concerns. There's people that think there should be some type of, the economy should be, open and there shouldn't be controls and nothing should be centralized, all that good stuff. And at the core, I somewhat agree with some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, you have centralization, and it means oversight. The more we give, the better our chances are to actually push this market forward. So whether you like oversight or not, sorry, I don't like oversight. I don't like people knowing what I'm doing. I don't like people seeing my transactions. But we're using a protocol that lets everybody see our transactions anyway. So what's the big deal? I mean, why are people so against this? I don't really understand. Anyway, now you're seeing what's the good part of oversight and regulation. Your account gets hacked, you get your money back. So congratulations. Okay, guys, let's jump into. Oh, hold on, we have our Kevin Explains Crypto. So my term this week, I feel like, I don't know if you guys ever saw, was it Sesame Street? I think it was Sesame Street. Sesame Street had the letter of the day. Then Pee-wee's Playhouse actually had the word of the day. I don't know if anybody saw that show. It's like 30 years old. So Pee-wee's Playhouse had the word of the day. And my word for today is minting. So a little bit of a contentious word, I guess, in the CoinMetro ranks, you know, the word minting. I think I see that word on Telegram about 455,000 times a day. But anyway, guys, for those people who don't know, and I think most people in our community know what minting is because they think they ask us when we're going to do it about every other day. But when it comes to people that don't know, so minting is basically a nice word that basically describes the creation of a new crypto asset. So basically, and we're talking mostly about tokens or assets that are created on another coin's blockchain. So basically, let's say Ethereum, for example, because it's one of the easiest examples to explain. Most people know about Ethereum. So Ethereum is a coin. ETH and ETC are coins built on a blockchain. All these different tokens are basically built as contract, as addresses, as inside that same blockchain. And when a coin or a token is created and actually placed on the blockchain, so it's pushed out onto the net, that's minting. So it's called, you know, minting. Just like when you know, the word obviously is used because when you create a new currency, well, you mint it, right? You actually go, you physically mint a new currency or a new coin. And here it's virtual minting, but it's basically at the point of creation. Okay, guys, let's jump into the AMA. I'm going to see what we have questions. So we have a question from Guy. All right. What do you think of the current volume? 3 to 5K USD is quite low. What are your plans to increase volume? So yeah, right now, look, volumes aren't my main concern right now. We haven't done any marketing externally. We will soon, but we haven't. Right now, my main concern is to make sure that everything functions and that we do the updates that we need to do on the platform so that we get to the point where that when we do mass market, we know that we're going to be able to pick up more and more clients and people are actually going to like what they see. So we have some major updates coming in the next couple weeks. That have to do with the revamp of the intermediate platform and the adding of margin. So now we have margin trading right now on the open side, and margin trading will be pushed live at some point here in the near future. Once that happens, then marketing will start to kick off a bit more. And with margin, obviously, we're going to see an increase in volumes. And we'll also see, obviously, an increase in volumes because we're going to be marketing to people. Right now, we're not. That also means the ambassador program rollout, which means that you guys can do some marketing yourselves and make some additional money. And then hopefully, you know, XCM starts to flow and everything like that. And we start to see really what the platform can do. Claudio, maybe everything is due to the big uncertainty around crypto these days. After BTC lost so much value so quickly, if everything proud, the volume would be a lot more. Well, look, people still need to sell, right? People kind of underestimate this. Yeah, people aren't buying maybe as much as they were, but people still need to sell. That's volume. So at the end of the day, it's not so much. It does. Guaranteed, when CNBC, CNN, BBC, and all these places are talking about crypto every day for 4 hours, that increases volume. And they only did that because of the bubble, right? They created the bubble. They helped create the bubble. There will be more bubbles. Every market has bubbles. Real estate market has bubbles. Equity markets have bubbles. The bond market has bubbles. Crypto has bubbles. We've had about 7 or 8 of them already. We're going to have more. This will not be the last bubble. Does that mean that the next bubble outpaces the last one? No, not necessarily, but there will be other bubbles. So the point is that we want to make sure, you know, right now, if we focus on volumes, then we're not focusing on creating a platform that can actually handle those volumes. So we're going to run into the same thing that happened to everybody else, right? Volumes went sky high, platforms went down, people couldn't trade, shit was offline for hours, people were going nuts, they couldn't open accounts for months. That's because basically they were just focused on volumes rather than the product stuff. Jet fuel, when are you starting your big marketing push? Well, it really depends. So we've been doing a bit of a private equity raise, mainly to push, mainly to get our footprint expanded on the regulatory side, but also to fund a bit larger of a marketing campaign. So we will start some marketing towards the end of this month, early February. It'll be relatively small. Basically, we're gonna do it old school. So When I did my first marketing, I'll tell you that they were in penny saver magazines. This is back like in 1992, 93. So penny saver magazines, if you're not, they were all over the world. But let's say when you go into a supermarket, they'd have these little magazines with like classified ads in them, and they were free, and your mother would pick it up while you're at the cashier line. And she'd be like, oh, look, somebody's selling a refrigerator for $3. I don't know, whatever. So these type of magazines, I would basically place ads, and I would spend $5 to $10 per ad. That's it. And I would do maybe 100 ads across different of these things. Actually, I had to use a broker to do this because the internet, well, didn't really work out at the time. So you'd use a broker. I'd spend maybe 500 to 1,000. I'd put sometimes only $1 on certain ads, depends. I'd go back through. I'd find every ad that actually worked, the copy that worked. If the copy didn't work, I'd adjust it. As soon as I found the copy that worked, then I'd start to increase from 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160. I think at the height, my biggest ad spend in 1 week was something like 300K on penny classified ads. And that's because you just, every time you make an ROI of more than 3 to 5x, you double your spend. That's it. It's simple math, but that's how we're going to work this, because I think a lot of guys spend a lot of money on advertising in this space. It doesn't make any sense because they spend money without really realizing what their ROI is, because sometimes ROI can be very difficult to track, even when it's online. How did it go with the debit card company last week? Yep, finalized the deal. Going to be signing at the end of the month. And this is for this basically this specific company has a banking license. We're gonna have to roll out slowly with them. So 1 country in the EU, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and 7. It'll probably take 6 to 12 months to roll out to the entire EU. It may take less, but that's my current estimate, I think. But it's going to allow us to provide a lot of services under that umbrella. So that's one of the companies. I actually met in Mexico City with another company. I'm getting details from them now that we can issue in Latin America and possibly even North America with these guys, and maybe elsewhere. So I'll be getting more information on them as well. We have 2 other companies that we're still kind of in negotiations with as well for other parts of the world. But this specific bank in the EU deal is pretty much done. Will be signed at the end of the term sheet's been signed, and I believe, and at the end of the month, we were looking to sign an actual agreement. Peter Young, will it be possible to deposit from a third-party bank account if all correct reference are supplied? IG from an employer? No. If you send money from an account that's not in your name, it will be returned because basically that's against AML policy. So that's actually kind of textbook money laundering. So if the option there is at some point in the near future, we're going to open up wallet-to-wallet transfers between clients, between people on the platform. That means if your mother has an account, she wants to send you some euros, she can do that. When we do that, then this means that you would just need to get that person KYC. They could send the money to their own account. They could transfer it to you. Not available yet, though, but that's a plan for the near future. Guy, sorry, Tim, are you sending out of the prison, or what's going on? That background quality. Are you in a third world? I'm in Puerto Rico, so. Well, I don't want to say it's third world, but yeah. So look, I'm sitting. It's the corner of the room, but there's a window, I mean, so yeah, it's not. I might look like a jail cell, It's if it was a jail cell, it's not all that bad, I mean, I've been in worse. Okay. So yeah, Puerto Rico. So definitely not third world, but they did have major hurricane or whatever. So I don't know if I think this hotel was probably okay, but yeah, anyway. Sherwin Sale, what is the cash flow situation in CM? Are you able to get investors to pump in some funds? Yeah, cash flow right now is stretched, but mainly because yeah, we've had to reduce. We've reduced a lot of expenses to make sure that we can push cash flow as much as we can. We have brought out some new investors. We're still bringing on some more. We're in an equity round now, so we're selling some equity. It's kind of private. We offered it to some people, some contributors actually, but a small list. Most are outsiders, and yes, there has been money coming in. Ruben asking when Lambo, my buddy Ruben. Yeah, well, Ruben, when you buy one, I guess that's when you get a Lambo, right? I mean, that's usually how it works out, right? So, you just gotta go down to the dealership, talk to Juan Pablo or whatever, and throw down the money, and you get the Lambo. It's pretty simple. But if that's an indirect question to ask when minting is going to happen, so. Like I said, this month we expect to be technically ready to be able to mint. Now there is still, regulatory. There's still other things that we need to make sure we're 100%, nip and tucked and ready to roll. the token was not created in Estonia. It wasn't created by an Estonian company. The ICO was not run by an Estonian company. And Estonia, we weren't even in Estonia actually when the ICO started. I wasn't even on the map actually. We were planning to go to Georgia, if people remember. So there's still a few things that need to be kind of tied up, but I think those things will be tied up soon. So technical feasibility should happen this month, depending on how the back and forth goes with different regulators, not just in Estonia, but also in Hong Kong and other places, to make sure and that we're ready to roll, and that all our legal opinions are tight. Then that could push us to February. But we'll see. Obviously, it behooves us to do it as soon as possible as well. I'm the biggest XCM holder, so I'd like to get things rolling as well. Our company has a big liquidity reserve, and so we want to get these things rolled out. We want to be able to take XCM onto the platform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to roll as fast as we can. But we want to make sure that when we do it for the long term, and not just to throw this thing out there in the market because people want to be able to sell it, basically. Claudio asking, one Ford Fiesta. Wow, Ford Fiesta. It's easier to buy a Ford Fiesta than a Lambo, right? Everybody's got a Ford dealer. Not every city has a Lambo dealer. Actually, not many cities have a Lambo dealer. I mean, if you're in Monaco, it's pretty easy. Just walk on the fucking street, buy yourself a Lambo, right? LA, pretty easy. New York, not that difficult. Miami, pretty easy. I don't know, Shreveport, Louisiana, kind of difficult to buy a Lambo, but you can definitely buy a Ford Fiesta. That's without a fucking doubt. I mean, probably buy 10 of them, within 12 minutes, just walking on the street. All right, guys, let me see. We have, I don't even know what the time frame on this is supposed to be. I think we shortened it to 30 minutes, but I'm going to go a little bit longer. Let's see what we have with on Reddit here. Let's see if we have any interesting questions. So Infinity008 on Reddit had asked what I think about the voting procedure for coin token listings. Is it going to be anonymous or will it require KYC? I remember you saying it won't charge for voting like KuCoin does, for example, when you have to pay with KCS. But wouldn't it make sense to have additional voting rights just by holding XCM in your wallet? You would have to hold XCM to vote. We wouldn't charge you XCM to vote. So let's say you have to have a minimum of X amount of XCM in your account in order to make a vote, but it doesn't cost you to vote. So yes, because we don't want people that don't actually use the platform to vote. We want people that actually use the platform. It doesn't make any sense to have anybody just vote. Will they be anonymous? Yeah, I think they'll be anonymous. I mean, I think voting, generally speaking, should be anonymous. Maybe it's even included in the definition of voting. I don't know. But I think it should be anonymous. Would it require KYC? Well, you have to be a client. So yes, not that voting requires KYC, but being a client requires KYC. So I think, and you're saying one vote after passing KYC, 2 votes after passing KYC, and holding any amount of XCM. Yeah, those are kind of intricate details, and I think we'll dig into those when we get closer to actually launching the voting. But yeah, again, we want people who use the platform to be able to vote. Somebody who is just an outsider who shows up and says, "Oh, CoinMetro is voting," and just throws a vote out there. I hope they vote. I'm gonna get shitcoin listed, and like throws 10,000 votes on it just to screw with us or whatever. We're not going to allow that. So. Will there be buy support for XCM formed by the fees that you guys are currently charged? Yes, there will be buy. So basically, every single transaction that happens when we go to charge our fees, they're going to get charged in XCM. So they get converted to XCM. So there will be buy pressure. We will also create circuit breakers, basically, that monitor the market so that when there's big fluctuations, that we can filter out orders, which is what every major market does. Okay, let's see. Going back to you guys here. Let me see if there's another question popped up. Okay, guys, if you have any other questions, please pop them into YouTube. I'm going to take a few more of these Reddit questions, and then time for me to hit the road. So let's see. Careless Raccoon. I have a question regarding CoinMetro and its performance. Can you show active users, registered users, traded volumes, et cetera, somewhere? We actually, so the transparency page will show this info. When we initially created the Fix API, we had it pull data from the source. Not thinking that we were going to pull data from a liquidity provider, so we're getting some of their volume data into our statistics. So that needs to be edited, and it's being edited now. And I think in the next platform release, we'll probably have that done. Once that's done, yes, every one of those statistics plus a lot more are going to be available right on the home page of the website, right on the transparency page. So yeah, I'm all about transparency. So we will show. It's just, again, technical feasibility right now isn't quite there. We didn't quite think about volume coming from outside venues, and that it was going to kind of pollute the data a bit. But that will be changed shortly. Peter Mack, rumors and news that some countries are looking at buying Bitcoin as part of their reserves. What's to stop a country printing loads of money and buying Bitcoin directly with it? Would this still cause inflation? Interesting question. If a company prints loads of money and buys Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin isn't actually backing the underlying currency, then it doesn't affect inflation at all. You would still have inflation. I mean, fiat currencies are built on a system of inflation. This is how the entire market functions: inflation and deflation, quantitative easing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So them buying Bitcoin or them buying gold or them, I mean, there's every country. Actually, the U.S. Holds probably more gold than almost every other country combined, including China. Way more than China, by the way. Probably 3 or 4 times as much as China, if not more. So that doesn't mean that there's no inflation. It just means it's just a hedge, basically. They're buying gold as a hedge and nothing more. So yeah, it wouldn't affect it all. Maybe have a word with North Korea to let them know when XCM is minted. Yeah. No, we definitely won't be talking to North Korea. That's for sure. Yeah, I like the, it's a good joke. It's a good joke. Good joke for a Friday. Jet Fuel 12, how many coins will CM have to buy trade by year end? Hard to speculate on that one because what we want to make as many crosses and as many fiat crosses as we possibly, crypto crosses and fiat crosses as we possibly can. We will continue to do that. We also want to bring on new assets, but those assets need to be classified as not as security, which becomes difficult when you talk about, let's say, ICO'd companies. We will have an MTF license at some point, hopefully towards Q3, Q4 this year. When we do, we'll be able to list securities as well, and that'll change the game a bit. So let's say, for instance, we were approved for the MTF license in September, just to give a date. That would give us 3 months to list a whole lot of different assets. So, you know, maybe we get there with X amount of assets, but we get 3 to 4 times more in the last 3 months of the year, basically because we're able to list securities. So hard to speculate, but we will continue to list new assets. That's for sure. New crosses, new fiat pairings, etc. How is the DBG deal going? Well, we're waiting. Again, the issue there is that now with the new different regulatory scope, we need to make sure that they're not classified as security under what is Estonian regulation. And Estonian regulation is going through a lot of changes right now. There's going to be an election. They've already passed a few things about that relate to cryptocurrency. We actually helped them pass one of those, not pass it, but rewrite it. So at the end of the day, we have to see what happens with the regulatory front. And I think probably nothing's going to move on that front till March when the new government comes into office. Though perhaps before we'll be able to put a little pressure behind that. But I think it makes sense to wait for the new government, to be quite honest. Okay, Shitcoin Investor 27, great name. How do you expect this exchange with a cartoon UI can beat the likes of Binance just because regulation, as if that's the only thing that matters? So my goal was never to beat Binance. I hope Binance has a great future and they make billions and billions of won. I don't really care. The point is that they don't serve the retail market very well. There's many things they don't do well. And cartoon UI aside, maybe you don't like it, but one thing you learn in business, and it's hard to learn this. It's something that took me years to learn. Is it doesn't get in the world doesn't give a fuck what you think. And I don't mean you particularly. I mean you as in all of us. Like the world could give a shit what I think. The world gives a shit what you think. Most anybody else thinks, right? The vast majority, though, tend to kind of, follow each other. People are generally sheep. I hate to say it, but that's the way the world works. And certain things actually generate a lot of interest that maybe many people you talk to might not like. So you might not like it, but we get a lot of feedback of people that do like it. Now, if you ask me if I like it, I don't like or dislike it. I think it's unique. Would it stop me from trading on the platform? No. Would it make me want to trade on the platform? No. But that's me. And again, my opinion, it really matters what the masses think. And right now, we get a lot of feedback that they like it. So my goal has never been to beat Binance. All right. Whether we beat Binance or not, we'll see. Right. But that's never been the goal. The goal is to create a platform that's all inclusive, that has a holistic approach under one umbrella where people can come, multi-asset, not just crypto, tokenize things, trade securities, trade non-securities, have access via debit cards and NFC payments and merchant payments, move payments back and forth between one another, all these different things under one umbrella. And that's much more than what Binance is. So on the exchange side, Binance can beat us for the next 30 years. Good luck for Binance. Don't care at all. On the other side, however, they can't compete with us. So they will be trying to beat us in other avenues at some point rather than us trying to beat them. The design idiocy and naivety is amazing. That's a cool use of words. It's actually naivety. You put, I think, yeah, anyway, it's wrong. But anyway, doing things the wrong way just for the sake of being different. Black background with dark text, low contrast is cool. Who needs usability? Look, guys, so I'm going to go over this again. Again, you think you have one opinion, and that's great. I'm happy to hear your opinion, and I've heard opinions similar to yours, but the vast majority are quite different than yours, and that's what counts to a business, right? I'm looking for mass adoption. I'm not looking to make everybody happy, which is impossible. And you're right, low contrast, and we've actually adjusted the contrast a bit. It's been a bit of a contention internally, and that's going to change over time. The point is that we listen to feedback and we make changes based on feedback. And what you see now is already the culmination of probably, I don't know, maybe something like 40 or 50 renditions and probably thousands and thousands of comments. Mix and match drop down to choose the pair you want to trade. Super users love multiple steps. Yeah, again, it's a process, right? So you create something based on initial feedback, and over time you change it. Now, go back to Binance's first platform. You know, I don't know if you used it. I saw it, never used it, but I definitely looked at it and played around with it. It was horrible. I would say the platform they have right now is actually they built it in a way that they think it looks institutional, but institutions don't use it, and it's too complex for a retail trader. So to me, I think they made many mistakes there. You like it better? That's great. That's your opinion. I don't. Huge train graphic eating up 20% of the screen. No problem there. That's critical trading data. Yeah, this is the intermediate platform, not really for critical trading data. But you're right. It was for branding. And you know what? In the next rendition, it's not going to be there. So you can tip your hat to yourself on that one. And just be happy and, like, I don't know, sleep 8 hours tomorrow and not have to worry about CoinMetro. You know, so that's awesome. Want to see order book and last trades done? Have it hidden by default, because if MT4 doesn't show it, why should we? Yeah. Well, screen space is the main thing there. Obviously, at some point, we're going to make it modular. It's not modular yet. It will be at some point. People that need that data will look to find it. People that don't need it won't even know that it's there and won't care because they don't know what it is. So again, we've gotten feedback on that, and we've designed around feedback. We get different feedback, the design may change. In large numbers on the last 3 digits, hey, works for Forex that moves in 100 pip range, so I guess it works here for shit that moves 10 to 100,000 of pip equivalents. Actually, I think it does work. Look, at some point, this market will mature, and it will mature to a point. It's not going to have its own standards. You're not going to be like, well, crypto trades like this because crypto is so fucking awesome, and because Shitcoin Investor 27 is such a professional trader, this is how we're going to structure the entire crypto market because, you know, this guy's awesome. That's not how shit works, unfortunately, right? So how shit works is that there's already multiple institutional markets, and they all trade the same way. They all trade based on point or pip values. So you may think it's bad now, but I guarantee everybody will doing it soon, guaranteed. So you can watch for that. And when it happens, I don't know, you can buy me a beer or something. Dumbass KYC policy for not accepting scans, but okay with handheld snapshots using phones. Yep, because we all do compliance in-house, just pretending to know what shit regulators want to see. That's actually 100% inaccurate, and I can see that you have no idea about KYC just by reading that. So I'll explain to you a bit what KYC is. So we don't accept scans because scans don't have metadata, my friend. And snapshots using phones have metadata. We know where you took that picture, what time you took the picture, if that picture was taken live or not live, or if it was a picture of a picture. And that doesn't happen. And it's actually exactly what regulators want. Regulators stipulate in almost probably 15 to 30 countries at this point that they need to see actual screen photos. They want to see live photos or live video. They do not accept scans. So you're 100% wrong there. And yeah, we do in compliance in-house. You know why? Because everybody else is slightly inept. That's why we do it in-house. We've tested a lot of different KYC providers. We've tested a lot of different providers. And the problem is that they all use the same APIs. They all pull in the same data, but they all give false positives. They all give data that's not correct. And at the end of the day, you need to trust. If KYC goes bad, guess what happens? Guess who basically carries the weight of that bad decision. I do personally. So I'd rather give KYC to people I trust in-house to do, that I know that they know what they're doing and I know that they're following the steps they need to do, than give it to a third-party company who we've tried to give it to that simply don't do what they're supposed to do, which leaves us at risk. So your last comment there, joke of a project. Well, you spent about probably 15, 20 minutes, at least 30 minutes probably going over to make this nice comment. So, you know, I guess it's not that much of a joke, right? Or you wouldn't be here. But appreciate the comment. I guess maybe you're like, I guess you probably work for Binance or something. So let's CZ let know if he wants to debate me anytime. You know, he can come on. I'd really like to debate him. I think it would be fun and quite an enjoyable experience. Okay, let's see. Back to, so is SEPA Instant already implemented? SEPA Instant, no, but most SEPA transfers that we receive, we get them the same day. But SEPA Instant, not 100% no. Interesting, all these services use XCM as the base fee. Yeah, basically what happens is you pay base fees based on the underlying currency you're trading or transacting with. If it's Bitcoin USD, for example, Bitcoin Euro, you're gonna pay your fee gets generated or charged or calculated is the better word, in Bitcoin. That's the underlying asset. But immediately there's a transaction that's going to go to the exchange and exchange that Bitcoin for XCM. So every single transaction that happens on the platform that involves a fee will be converted to XCM. Therein is the buy pressure. What is an MTF license and what are STOs? Oh, STOs, boy, that could be an hour topic by itself. MTF means multilateral trading facility. So in the US, there's a license called ATS, and that's alternative trading system. So they're basically the same thing. Basically what it is, it's a license that allows you on a platform, on a trading platform, to trade unregistered securities. So that means that if someone has a security that's, let's say in the US, a penny stock, it's on a pink sheet, it's not actually in the NASDAQ or whatever, it's on some private market, or a crypto asset like a token that isn't actually registered anywhere, it's unregistered. It allows you to be able to trade that on your platform. And that's the license that basically every single current exchange is going to need to be able to trade probably any crypto asset in the near future. When I say near, let's say 2019, 2020, not like tomorrow, but near future, you know, like year or two, near future. STO stands for security token offering. Now, there's no such thing as a security token. People that have been on this, listen to me babble about this shit before, have heard this a million times, but there's no such thing anywhere in the world as a security token. There are guidelines in Switzerland. There are guidelines in Estonia that mention token types. Security token is one of them. But there's no legislation that tells you what a security token is, because there's no such thing as a security token. These are tokenized securities. So you can create a tokenized security legally now almost anywhere in the world. When you create a security, whether that be a share or whatever it is, you create a subscription agreement. And inside that subscription agreement, you can simply have a clause that says that this security or this share or this whatever, convertible debt, convertible note, whatever it is, there will be a tokenized version offered, and the token is basically pegged to the share 1-to-1, something like that. Remember, you put that in your subscription agreement, you now have a tokenized security. Everybody that says STOs either says it because, well, they have an ICO and they just simply want to see if they can raise money. Nobody gives money to ICOs anymore, so they say STO and they have no idea really what that means. Or they say it because it's a marketing term and they think people understand it, and it just they don't have to explain it. Most people I talk to, however, that actually know what a security is, say the same thing. There's no such thing as an STO. There's no such thing as a security token. Unfortunately, though, they don't push that mantra out to the public because, well, they just want to raise money, and so they don't want to confuse people. I don't have a problem confusing people because I'd rather confuse them and give them the right information than tell them bullshit that's meaningless. So. International Mix, longtime fan. Please don't take questions the wrong way, just on my mind. Okay, International Mix, let's see what you got. Are you disappointed with seeing the lack of volume on the exchange so far? I know basically still in beta with existing contributors, but what are your expectations in the months following launch versus actuals? How do you plan to attract new users? No, I would say if thinking of launch December of last year, I would have expected more volume, just because there was more volume in the market. And people were just not so much the volume, to be honest, the frenzy. People just wanted to buy crypto, fucking foaming at the mouth to buy crypto. Grandma was like beating people with her cane and shit to run down to like Western Union to buy some Bitcoin. I mean, that's obviously changed. So I did not expect to see a lot of volume. What I wanted to see was just people coming in and starting to use the platform, make deposits. And that's what we're seeing. So would I like to see more? Sure. Did I expect to see the gates open and people just rush in? No. When we start to do marketing, though, I do think, we pay makers. The fact that we have the ambassador program that goes out to different levels, etc. I do think we're going to see a bit of pickup for sure. Do I think it's going to be like mesmerizing? Binance, they'd be seeing similar things we see for sure. What is the plan for the next? What plan to attract new users? Well, we have a marketing plan. Obviously, we have a small marketing plan that's going to kick off soon. As we bring in these funds from the equity raise, we'll start to spend more money on marketing. And marketing is all encompassing. So things like the airport gate that we have, it's things like that in different jurisdictions that are a bit unique. It's also obviously Google and Facebook and YouTube and everything else everybody else uses. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on the fact that we pay makers. And we're going to be focusing on the fact that we're looking at that we're fully regulated and we understand regulation. We're going to be looking at all those different kind of let's say differences that we have with everybody else. What is the plan for the next listings after the top 5 are added, top 10, top 50, or community vote? The more crypto with fiat on ramp, the better, in my honest opinion, rather than delaying. Yeah, I agree. It's about, I talked about this in another question, it's all about regulation, right? So we have to make sure that these things, that we can list them, that they're not classified as securities until we have that MTF license. The plan is to offer as many fiat pairings. So we probably, we're looking to get USD on board. We want to get pounds on board, and that means getting banking for those currencies. I know pound through our current bank we could probably have in May or June. I want to do it before that. We are looking at different providers. Once we have the ability to bring on different currencies via wire transfer, not just credit card, then we will probably roll out what you see now against pounds, against USD, etc. Then we'll start to roll out other assets. Are there any updates on banking partners, financial partners to ensure the long-term future of CM? Is it solely based on users on the exchange? Sure. We just signed it. We're in the process of signing the final agreement with a banking partner in Germany. We're also in talks with another bank also in Germany, and we're in talks. We just got us some accounts in the U.S. actually. Those are mainly operational accounts, but at some point I do think we'll be able to accept U.S. dollar deposits for clients through this bank as well. So yeah, there's lots of updates there. And actually, I think one of these, maybe next week, maybe the week after next week, I'm going to be in Davos. Somebody at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, when I do the AMA. I think that the week after that we can have a bigger discussion on updates on banking and things like that. When mint, feasibility this month. It may still happen this month, may happen in February. Right now, it's technical feasibility, and it's making sure we have the regulatory go ahead. Not just in Estonia, but well, Estonia doesn't really. The thing that the token itself is actually Hong Kong. So we have the go ahead from Hong Kong. We're actually going to be operating the platform in Estonia. We want to make sure that our legal opinion flies in Estonia, that we have that from an Estonian law firm that says that it's not a security. We need to make sure that that's upheld by the FSA so that we can actually list it on the platform. And we're in the process of doing that. Okay, let's see. Anything else on the live side? Oh, yeah, we got a few here. Thanks for the explanation. No problem, Sherwin. You're welcome. Harold asking, any personal thoughts on the margin trading interface ETF for pushing it live? Is there a fixed leverage of 1 to 3? Actually, since it's been up on open, I haven't played around with it. I played around with it beforehand. I think it was changed a bit. So can't really give you an opinion. I think it needs some work. But I think the renditions that I played with already were close. From the back end side, it functions as it should, so that's important. From a risk mitigation standpoint, I'm satisfied with what we have in place to mitigate our own risk as far as negative balances. So fixed leverage, yeah, there will be a maximum leverage, probably a 1 to 3 initially. My goal is to get that up to 1 to 25 at one point. That's going to have to happen over time because we're going to have to understand the risk. And obviously volatility in crypto, 1 to 25 opens up a lot more risk for negative balances than 1 to 3. With margin lending, we can try to mitigate that a bit by having certain stop out qualifications and things like that. But we'll see how it goes. But I don't think it'll be fixed. I think you'll be able to select like 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or whatever. But yeah, especially once we raise it, once it goes to 1 to 5, 1 to 10, etc., you'll be able to pick. You're not just going to get defaulted to 1 to 10, let's say, in that instance. All right, let's see what else we got on the will it be trading API? So far, no trading on the. There is no trading in the exchange. The volume is really low. Okay, I already kind of covered volume. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Lazy Jones, will there be a trading API anytime soon? Yeah, API is coming probably in February or possibly March, but the API is coming. Once we're 100% happy with the way all the platforms are functioning, then we release the API because we have clients from the FX side that are ready to pump some volume over the API, but we want to make sure that it's robust enough to be able to handle it. Matt's a boss. When will the marketing start? Already touched on marketing. Why isn't the questionnaire in the KYC optional? I don't think any regulator requires you to know our personal habits and income. Actually, they all do. So that questionnaire cannot be optional. Now, I know most crypto exchanges don't ask for it, or they ask for it at certain levels, but that's because up to this point, guys, crypto has not been considered a financial instrument, and it hasn't really been classified under any financial services. That's happening, and it's going to happen this year in probably every major jurisdiction. And at that point, everybody will be asking for that questionnaire. The reason we ask for the questionnaire is very simple. We need to classify you. We need to classify your risk. So whether you're high, medium, or low risk client, because depending on your risk classification, there's certain ways we need to actually handle your account from a compliance perspective. So it's 100% required. That's for sure. And there's really no way around it. So International saying that the AMA is midway through January, therefore coinciding with the launch of XCM with a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So we already talked about that. CoinMetro fan, when will maker and taker fees? What will the maker and taker fee on the margin trading as exchange traded? Yes, same fees. Okay. CoinMetro fan, there has been some discussion in the beta feedback channel about the benefits of adding limit orders and the order book to the intermediate exchange GUI and changing the trade GUI so it will be margin trading only. Yep, that's something we're working on now. I fully agree with that, with those comments. And I actually had a talk with Evan about this the other day, and we had a bit of talk on Slack with the guys. And I agree 100%. I think at some point we were looking to see how we would basically kind of separate or segregate the platform so that we could really focus on, this is more, let's say, professional retail. This is more like, general, and this is just simple. And how do we do that? And I think this is a great idea, actually. So hats off to everybody who came up with that idea. I like it. I think it works. And yes, we are going to do it. So Serendipity is me. How will CoinMetro's margin trading model function? How will it be different from BitMEX or Bitfinex? Well, there's really no way to make it different. I mean, BitMEX is a bit artificial. Bitfinex works on the fact that you're basically taking out a loan, and based on the size of the loan versus the size of margin you have on your account, that's your leverage level, and that's essentially how ours will function. Only difference is that our engine is a bit different. The way we actually run the algos on the back is different for sure. So we have a few things in there that we think are going to mitigate risk on both sides better than their system does. We're also going to offer margin on multiple other assets. Bitfinex has a relatively short list of assets, though they've added to it over time. As well, we're going the way that the algo that we use for when people offer up margin for what they're charging and how the system works and how it resets on a daily basis is unique. Okay, guys, let's see. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Let me see if there's any other live questions here. QWERTY, what the fuck, laugh out loud. When will the top 30 become available to trade? A lot of those top 30 are going to be considered securities by the FSA in Estonia. So that means that until we get the MTF license, we can't list them all, whether we wanted to list them all or not, because just because they're in the top 30 doesn't necessarily mean we should list them. It means they have volume, but that volume could be centralized on one particular exchange, which means it's probably fake. So we have to look at many different things, not just, let's just list all the top 30. But we will start to make our way through the list, and we'll start to bring on more and more assets once we have that MTF license. Up to that point, we have to basically classify everything and make sure that it's not a security before we can list it. So I think the first thing we're going to do is probably go after more fiat pairings. We're going to go after more crypto crosses of the assets we currently list, and we're going to start to look at different assets that carry some volume that we think will not be classified as a security under the Estonian regulatory body. And I think there's a few already that we have in mind. So MTF license, well, I hope to apply in February. It can take up to 9 months. However, I do think that we'll be able to get a little bit of time shaved off, so maybe 6 months. But yeah, somewhere within 6 to 9 months of February once we file all the paperwork. So process is that we've already started to compile paperwork. We've already gotten legal counsel that's helping us put together different aspects. We've gone through a few legal opinions with them on different products like the TAM. We're going through we went through the TAM already. We're going to go through the ETCF. We're going to go through these other products. We're going to get opinions to make sure that we're filing for the right applications, and then we'll start the full application process. And I hope to have that done in February. It's also, obviously, we need to put up minimum capital. So it's like 730,000 euro. which is the minimum capital, which is going to be part of that equity raise that we're currently going through. So, all right, guys, it's 10 a.m. here, or 11 a.m. maybe. What time is it? Yeah, 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. here. A good weekend. Thanks again for stopping by. Appreciate all the questions. There were some good ones this week, especially like that inflation Bitcoin question. That was a nice one on Reddit. So yeah, let's. I'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it as always. Spend some time with family and friends. You know, don't look at the Ether price. Don't look at any prices really. Just turn your phones off or whatever for a weekend, and I don't know, go scuba diving or something. Sit in a dark black room with no internet or something. But anyway, guys, thanks as always. See you guys next week. I'll prepare, like I said, not next week, the week after. I'll prepare a bit of an update on banking and kind of regulatory and all that good stuff, because there's been a lot. There's been quite some movement there that hasn't really been talked about, but a lot of it's been on the backside because I myself have been traveling a lot, mainly talking about CoinMetro, different parts of the world, talking to BizDev, doing a lot of BizDev, did a lot of BizDev in Mexico City, trying to do a bit of BizDev here as well. We'll be in Davos for the World Economic Forum, which is a lot of business development, possibly some fundraising as well. So lots of stuff going on, but that update will probably come in the next 2 weeks. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. See you guys next week.